Hey, I've got a question for you. When you get older, do you want your life to look like this? Or like this? Like this? Or like this? I don't ask you this to be overly dramatic, but the shocking truth about menopause is that the hormonal changes that a woman's body goes through during perimenopause and menopause brings an increased risk of heart disease, stroke, broken bones, and even dementia. Before you panic, guess what? There are steps we can take right now that'll make a huge difference to what our lifestyle will look like later in our 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. So in this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 consequences of menopause and what you can do now to avoid them. So this is important information you don't want to miss. If you're new here, I'm Rena Hedeman, professional certified coach and founder of Thrive After 45, a community for women at midlife and beyond. So if that's you, I invite you to join us by subscribing to the channel, and be sure to say hello in the comments and let me know what topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes. I'm here for you guys. Okay, let's start with the facts. I'm going to be kind of direct and tell it like it is because it's super important that women know this. As you probably already know, after about age 35, our female reproductive hormones start to decrease. And that decrease accelerates in our 40s and 50s right up until we hit menopause. What you might not know, at least I didn't know until I really started researching this a few years ago, that decrease in our hormones brings a seriously increased risk of heart disease, stroke, osteoporosis, and dementia. Like, what? That just seems so unfair, right? Because obviously, heart problems, weak bones, and dementia would have a huge impact on our quality of life. So that's why it's so important for us to be proactive now and start taking steps now to prevent those things happening later. And the sooner we start, the better. So first, let's take a look at your heart. The American Heart Association reports that heart disease is the leading cause of death in women.
And get this, cardiovascular disease kills more women than all forms of cancer combined.
Did you know that? I mean, this is a serious concern and one that we women really should start taking seriously in our 30s before perimenopause and menopause.
According to the American Heart Association, the menopause transition is a time of accelerating cardiovascular disease risk, emphasizing the importance of monitoring women's health during midlife, a critical window to reduce cardiovascular disease risk.
I personally know 2 healthy women who had heart attacks in their late 30s. Now, I don't say that to be alarmist or to scare anyone, but most people have the mistaken notion that heart attacks and strokes only happen to old men, say over 75, who smoke and are overweight or something. But that's not true. The second big problem that can negatively impact our golden years in a pretty big way is osteoporosis. This is a condition where the bones become fragile and brittle, making them weak and more likely to break. The decrease in estrogen in the years leading up to menopause significantly speeds up bone loss and increases your risk of osteoporosis. According to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, low bone density is one of the most common health problems that postmenopausal women face. It's called the silent disease because there are virtually no noticeable symptoms to warn you. In fact, if it's left unchecked, 1 in every 2 postmenopausal women will have osteoporosis. I mean, yikes, that's 50% of us. And who wants that? But as I said, there are some pretty easy things we can do now to decrease the risks of osteoporosis. So keep watching because I'm going to give you those tips in just a minute. Finally, there's the issue of cognitive decline. You might not worry about it right now, but a study published in the Journal of Women's Health found that postmenopausal women definitely have a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. I know, it's awful to think about. Again, this is in large part due to the decrease in estrogen, which directly relates to changes in memory performance and our brain circuitry that regulates memory function. And women with hypertension or diabetes are at an even higher risk for cognitive decline. And since dementia actually begins years before any signs of it appear, it's crucial to start actively taking care of your brain now. Having a decent memory and a healthy brain obviously will have a major impact on our quality of life and independence.
I mean, I think one of the biggest changes in an older person's life is when their physical health or brain has deteriorated, so they aren't allowed to drive anymore. They lose their independence. I mean, many of us have already witnessed that with an aging parent, so we know how it really can change everything. Okay, so what can we do now to avoid these horrible potential consequences of menopause? Well, first and foremost, it's important to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I think we all know that, including regular exercise and a balanced diet. I know we've all heard this a gazillion times, and this might be a little harsh, forgive me, but I'm going to give it to you straight, so please don't hate me for saying this. You probably think your eating and exercise habits are better than they actually really are. I don't mean that as a criticism, I just see this all the time as a health coach. It's really common. So I encourage you to keep a log of everything you eat and what you do for exercise every day for a week. Then look at it with non-judgmental awareness. You're honestly just looking at your own data. Don't criticize or shame yourself for, the cookies or the banana bread you might have snacked on, but honestly just look at your food and exercise log and ask yourself, am I getting enough lean protein every day? Am I getting enough fresh vegetables? My diet contains flour and or sugar and processed foods. Am I moving my body every day and lifting weights 2 or 3 times a week? It's crucial at midlife and beyond, well, at any age, is because consistent exercise and a healthy diet make an enormous difference in keeping your bones, heart, and brain healthy. And that reduces the risk of developing osteoporosis, heart disease, and cognitive decline. According to the CDC, we should get a bare minimum of 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity each week. That's just 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And by the way, if you want to lose that extra belly fat, the trick is not hardcore cardio like we used to do back in our 20s and 30s. Remember those aerobics classes and videotape? The best way to melt that middle-aged spread is 1, by walking at a brisk pace for at least a half an hour, 5 days a week. But if you can't walk while you're talking, you're going too fast. And 2, weight training 2 or 3 times a week. Weight training is seriously important, you guys, because we lose muscle mass so quickly after 40, which is one reason our body shape changes as we get older. And I hate to say this, but even if your weight has stayed the same for the last 10 or 15 years, your body fat has been increasing because your muscles have decreased unless you've been weight training consistently, and muscles weigh twice as much as fat. So what else should we be doing to avoid heart disease, dementia, and fragile bones down the road? Well, we want to make sure that we're getting enough calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D in our diet. Those are really important. These nutrients are essential for building and maintaining strong bones. The best way to get those important nutrients is the most natural way, through food. For calcium, consume foods like tofu, sardines, almond milk, soy milk, spinach, and yogurt. For magnesium, you want to eat black beans, spinach, pumpkin seeds are very high in magnesium, almonds, and for vitamin D, look for tuna, trout, eggs, yogurt, and others. Oh, and don't forget to get outside. A little sunshine is a fantastic source of natural vitamin D. You might also want to consider taking calcium and vitamin D and magnesium supplements to help keep your bones strong and healthy. Now, as for brain health, according to Dr. Jill Goldstein, professor of psychiatry and medicine at Harvard Medical School, there are 3 major pillars for maintaining good memory and brain health. 1, effortful physical activity. 2, effortful cognitive activity. And 3, social contact. Research shows that the first 2 of these, physical and cognitive activity, have direct beneficial effects on the brain. We've already talked about physical activity. Well, cognitive activity means challenging your brain with things like word puzzles, number puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, learning a new language, learning new computer skills, learning maybe to play a musical instrument. Basically anything where your brain has to figure things out. Social contact is another form of keeping our brains active by presenting us with new experiences and ideas, new perspectives, different from our own. External stimuli. I don't know if you've seen Blue Zones on Netflix. If not, I highly recommend it. It's super interesting. One thing I didn't realize but I learned from Blue Zones is just how important regular social contact is to our brain health. Another thing that's great for memory function is omega-3 fatty acids, like in fish oil.
The good news is that these are all habits we can easily start or maintain no matter how old we are right now. And finally, adequate sleep. I don't have to tell you this, but at least 7 or 8 hours a night is critical for brain health. Research has shown that during certain periods of sleep, learning is actually consolidated. That means sleep plays a key role in storing and maintaining what we learned during the day. And it even helps in clearing the brain amyloid plaques, one of the markers of possible Alzheimer's disease. So yeah, let's clear those suckers out every night by going to bed earlier and getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night. In addition, it's really important, as you know, to have regular checkups with your doctor to monitor your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and your triglyceride levels, and talk about any symptoms or health concerns that you might have. But don't just rely on doctors. Western medicine is great at helping us after the fact, like after you've broken your leg or had a heart attack. But basically, I'm a firm believer that each one of us needs to take responsibility for doing everything we can to prevent those things from happening in the first place, right? By the way, if you want to learn more, I've shared the links to some really interesting reports and articles below in the description. Remember, the best time to start improving your eating, exercise, and brain habits is right now, no matter how old you are. You can have not just a long life, but a high quality of life too. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Thanks so much for being here, you all. If you found this video helpful, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. And if you liked this video, I think you're also going to really like these.